The universe was vast, infinite, and teeming with life beyond human comprehension. But among the countless species, there was one unifying truth: Earth was considered a cosmic joke. To the interstellar community, humans were nothing more than a primitive anomaly, creatures fumbling their way through existence, obsessed with their tiny gadgets and incapable of true innovation. Alien empires across galaxies often shared tales of Earth, laughing at their inefficiencies, their wars, their inability to unite under a single banner. Earthlings were amusing at best, inconsequential at worst. That is, until one fateful day when everything changed. Far from the bustling metropolises of Earth, in a modest little workshop tucked away in a quiet corner of the countryside, an 11-year-old girl named Mia tinkered with a jumble of wires, gears, and scraps of metal. Mia wasn't your average child. She had a mind that worked differently, seeing patterns and possibilities where others saw junk. Her parents often joked that she was born with a wrench in one hand and a soldering iron in the other. But even they didn't fully grasp just how extraordinary their daughter was. Mia's workshop was her sanctuary, a place where she could escape the noise of the world and dive into her imagination. Today, her project was something she'd been dreaming of for weeks: a machine that could fly faster than anything humans had ever built. She had no blueprint, no formal education in engineering or astrophysics. All she had was a pile of spare parts, scavenged from her father's garage, and an unshakable belief that she could make it work. What Mia didn't know was that her little experiment had not gone unnoticed. High above Earth, cloaked in invisibility, an alien reconnaissance ship observed her every move. The crew, a group of highly advanced beings known as the Zorthans, had been stationed there for decades, tasked with monitoring Earth's technological progress. To them, Mia's workshop was just another quaint human curiosity. They watched her out of boredom more than anything else, chuckling at her futile attempts to assemble something meaningful. "Look at her," one Zorthan snorted, his gelatinous form rippling with amusement. "She's trying to build a warp drive with duct tape and tin cans. Adorable." "Should we intervene?" another asked, half joking. "She might accidentally invent a toaster that makes black holes." The commander of the ship waved a dismissive appendage. "Let her be. Humans are harmless. Besides, watching them stumble around is the highlight of our mission." Back in her workshop, Mia's hands moved with the speed and precision of someone far beyond her years. She tightened a bolt here, adjusted a circuit there, completely unaware that she was on the verge of something extraordinary. As she connected the final piece, a strange hum filled the air. The makeshift contraption began to glow, emitting a soft, pulsating light. Mia stepped back, her eyes wide with a mix of awe and trepidation. Did I actually do it?" she whispered to herself. In the alien ship, alarms blared. The Zorthans scrambled to their stations, their earlier amusement replaced by panic. "What's happening?" the commander demanded. "It's her machine," one of the crew replied, his voice tinged with disbelief. "It's generating a warp field. A real one. How is that even possible?" "Impossible," the commander barked. "Humans don't have the knowledge or resources for such technology. Scan it again." The crew obeyed, their instruments confirming the impossible. Mia's machine was not only functional, it was creating energy signatures far beyond anything the Zorthans had ever encountered. The laughter was gone now, replaced by a tense, disbelieving silence. On Earth, Mia's excitement turned to unease as her invention began to vibrate, the glowing light intensifying. The hum grew louder, resonating in her chest like a heartbeat. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the machine, piercing the sky and vanishing into the cosmos. Mia shielded her eyes, her heart pounding. Unbeknownst to her, that single beam had sent ripples through the galaxy, a signal that couldn't be ignored. Alien civilizations far and wide detected the anomaly, their sensors lighting up with warnings of an unprecedented technological leap from the most unlikely of sources. The Zorthans, now in full panic mode, realized they had underestimated Earth, or rather one extraordinary human child. "Commander," a Zorthan officer said, his voice trembling, we have to report this. If the council finds out we didn't act sooner." The commander stared at the screen, where Mia's invention continued to defy every known law of physics. He didn't respond, his mind racing with the implications. The council wouldn't just laugh at them, they would hold them accountable for allowing humanity to take such a monumental leap forward. And then there was the matter of the ship itself. If Mia had truly built the fastest warship in the galaxy, even by accident, it could tip the balance of power in ways no one could predict. On the ground, Maya was oblivious to the interstellar chaos she had just unleashed. She leaned closer to her machine, her curiosity outweighing her fear. "What are you?" she murmured, reaching out to touch the glowing surface. Before her fingers could make contact, the machine emitted a low, resonant tone, and in an instant, everything around her shifted. The workshop faded away, replaced by a vast, star-filled expanse. Maya floated weightlessly, her mind struggling to comprehend what she was seeing. She wasn't on Earth anymore. In the Zorthan ship, the crew watched in stunned silence as the girl and her machine vanished from their screens. The commander clenched his appendages, a sense of dread settling over him. "Find her," he ordered, "before someone else does." And so, the race began. Across the galaxy, powerful factions mobilized, each vying to claim the mysterious new technology and the child who had created it. But Mia, lost in the infinite void of space, was already discovering that her journey was only just beginning. What she had built was far more than a machine. It was a doorway. And on the other side lay a destiny she could never have imagined. Here's the next part of your story. The soft glow of Mia's bedroom lamp barely illuminated the cluttered mess around her. Sketchpads with half-drawn ideas, bits of disassembled gadgets, and a long-forgotten plate of half-eaten toast cluttered every surface. To anyone else, it might look like chaos, but to Mia, it was her sanctuary, a place where her wild ideas and tinkering hands brought impossible things to life. She sat cross-legged on the carpet, her face scrunched in concentration as she tightened a tiny screw into the makeshift engine casing she had spent weeks designing. It wasn't for anything serious, just a personal project to pass the time while her parents were away on another of their long scientific expeditions. They'd always encouraged her curiosity, but never imagined it would lead to anything groundbreaking. Maya was just a kid after all. But tonight, something was different. The little device in front of her was humming softly, almost imperceptibly, as if alive. She leaned in closer, her heart skipping a beat. The sound wasn't part of her design. She adjusted the tiny knob she'd improvised out of a broken pen cap, and the hum grew louder, resonating like a deep, rhythmic pulse. Her fingers hesitated for a moment. What had she done? She wasn't entirely sure how this thing even worked. She'd simply followed an idea that popped into her head after a vivid dream about stars and strange shapes in the sky. As the hum deepened, the lights in her room flickered. A sudden wave of static crackled through the small portable radio she kept nearby. Maya froze, a cold shiver crawling up her spine. She wasn't scared exactly, but the unknown always carried a sense of thrilling danger. Outside her window, the night seemed eerily still. No crickets, no rustling leaves, just the distant hum of the machine and the faint electric buzz in the air. Maya swallowed hard and turned the knob one last time. A blinding flash erupted from the device, filling the room with a burst of light that seemed to bend and ripple as if it were alive. Maya shielded her eyes and stumbled backward. When the light faded, the device sat quietly, as if nothing had happened. But something had. Her room wasn't the same anymore. The posters on the walls seemed to shimmer faintly, as if glowing from within. Objects looked sharper, almost hyper-real. And then she noticed the most bizarre thing of all. Her bedroom clock wasn't moving. The second hand was frozen in place. Mia's breath caught in her throat. What is this?" she whispered to herself. Before she could process what had just happened, a faint voice echoed in the room. It wasn't coming from her phone or her computer. It sounded like it was emanating from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Identify yourself," the voice said, calm but commanding. Maya's heart raced. "Who's there?" she stammered, spinning around, looking for the source of the voice. There was no response at first, only a deep silence. Then the voice returned, almost amused. "A child? Fascinating." So she stood up, brushing dirt off her jeans, and surveyed her surroundings. The towering trees stretched endlessly in all directions, their dense canopy casting dappled shadows on the ground. It was peaceful, almost deceptively so, given the chaos she had just escaped. She tightened the straps of her backpack and began to walk, her instincts telling her she needed to keep moving. Staying in one place felt dangerous, like waiting for trouble to catch up. Unbeknownst to Mia, she wasn't entirely alone. The moment the machine activated and transported her, it had sent another signal rippling through space. This one was even stronger, a beacon that no advanced civilization could ignore. Across the galaxy, various factions were scrambling to pinpoint the origin of the anomaly. Some sought power, others sought answers, and a few were driven by fear of what this new technology could mean. The Zorthans, still reeling from their earlier failure to contain the situation, were among the first to act. "We've tracked her energy signature to an uninhabited region of her planet," a Zorthan officer reported, his voice tense. The commander, his gelatinous form trembling with agitation, leaned closer to the display. "Deploy a ground team. We cannot afford another mistake. If this child's device falls into the hands of the Keldrath, it will mean war." The mention of the Keldrath sent a ripple of unease through the crew. The Keldrath Empire was one of the most aggressive factions in the galaxy, known for their ruthless tactics and insatiable hunger for technological superiority. If they got to Mia first, the consequences would be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Mia's journey through the forest led her to a clearing where a small stream meandered through the undergrowth. She knelt by the water, cupping her hands to take a drink. As she did, she caught her reflection in the rippling surface, wide eyes, smudges of dirt on her face, and an expression that teetered between determination and fear. She was just a kid. How had her life turned into this? A sudden rustling in the bushes made her freeze. She slowly turned her head, her heart pounding. At first, she thought it might be an animal, but the sound was too deliberate, too calculated. She reached for a nearby stick, gripping it tightly as the rustling grew closer. Then, without warning, a figure emerged from the shadows. It wasn't human. The creature stood over 7 feet tall, its metallic armor glinting in the sunlight that filtered through the trees. Its face was obscured by a sleek helmet, but its posture radiated purpose. Maya instinctively stepped back, holding the stick in front of her like a makeshift weapon. "Do not be afraid," the figure said, its voice surprisingly gentle. It raised its hands, palms open, in a gesture of peace. "I mean you no harm." Maya didn't lower the stick. "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure hesitated, then removed its helmet, revealing a face that was almost human, sharp features, silvery skin, and eyes that glowed faintly blue. "My name is Cal. I'm here to help you." "Help me?" Mia's grip on the stick tightened. "How do I know you're not with them?" Cal's expression softened. "I know you have no reason to trust me, but you must believe me when I say that others are coming, and their intentions are not as kind as mine. They will take your creation and use it to cause unimaginable destruction. I can help you keep it safe." Maya studied him, her instincts warring with her need for answers. Cal seemed sincere, but so much had happened in such a short time that she didn't know who or what to believe. "How do you even know about my machine?" she asked. Cal glanced at her backpack. "That device of yours is more than you realize. Its energy has drawn attention from across the galaxy. Some see it as a weapon, others as a miracle. But whatever it is, it's put you at the center of something far bigger than yourself." Before Mia could respond, a distant rumble shook the ground beneath them. Cal's expression darkened. "They're here." "Who?" Maya asked, her voice trembling. Cal didn't answer. Instead, he pulled a small device from his belt and pressed a button. A shimmering force field surrounded them, blending seamlessly with the forest. "Stay close to me," he said. "And whatever happens, don't let them take the machine." The rumble grew louder, and moments later, 3 Zorthan soldiers emerged into the clearing. Their gelatinous forms shifted and pulsed, their advanced weaponry trained on Cal and Mia. One of them stepped forward, its voice a harsh rasp. "Surrender the device, and no harm will come to the child." Cal stepped protectively in front of Mia. "She's under my protection. If you want the device, you'll have to go through me." The Zorthan soldier's form quivered with what might have been amusement. "You are outnumbered and outmatched. Stand down, Cal. This is not your fight." Cal's grip on his weapon tightened. It is now. What happened next was a blur. The Zorthans moved with incredible speed, their forms shifting as they attacked. Cal met them head-on, his movements precise and fluid. Maya watched in stunned silence as he fought, his weapon emitting bursts of energy that illuminated the forest. Despite his skill, it was clear he was struggling against the sheer number of opponents. Maya's heart raced as she clutched her backpack. She knew she couldn't just stand there. The machine had brought her into this mess, and maybe it could help her to get out of it. Taking a deep breath, she unzipped the bag and pulled out the device. It pulsed faintly in her hands, as if sensing her desperation. "Come on," she whispered. "Do something." The machine's glow intensified, and a strange energy coursed through Mia's body. She didn't understand what was happening, but she felt a surge of confidence, as if the device were guiding her. Without thinking, she pointed it at the nearest Zorthan and pressed a button. A beam of light shot out, striking the soldier and sending it sprawling. The other Zorthans hesitated, their focus shifting to Mia. Cal took advantage of the distraction, taking down another soldier with a well-aimed strike. But the battle was far from over. As the remaining Zorthans regrouped, Maya realized that the machine had made her a target. She clutched it tightly, her mind racing. She didn't know how to fight, but she wasn't about to let them win. She had started this, and she was determined to see it through, no matter what it took.